Stan Ikenberry, the former president of the University of Illinois and of the American Council of Education, teaches courses on higher education policy and leadership and serves as an advisor to doctoral students. In addition, he holds an appointment as senior fellow in the university's Institute of Government and Public Affairs and is co-director of the Forum for the Future of Public Education. His current areas of interest include higher education assessment, and I learned a bit more about that last night, public attitudes about higher education and privatization of public universities. Dr. Ikenberry was president at the University of Illinois when the Beckman Institute was founded in 1989 and was involved in the proposal to the Beckmans regarding the founding of the Institute. Stan.
Good morning. Great universities need big dreams, and if they don't have them, first of all, they can't become great, and if they don't continue to have them, they can't remain great. So it's not surprising we were dreaming big dreams, but many big dreams die a-borning. They're a fleeting press release. Other big dreams, I can tell you from personal experience, turn out not to be a dream, but a nightmare. But in this case, the dream was a delightful dream. It came to life, and here we are 25 years later celebrating the dream. In some ways, it was Dr. Beckman's dream, and in other ways, it was our dream. The great minds that put this creative design together, but ultimately it was fused into a single dream. The contours were fairly clear at that time. Mort was basking in the fact that they were showing a triangle up here that he put together at the time that began to try to conceptualize what all of this would look like. But from my perspective, there were really four dimensions to the dream. One related to a physical facility. The architects were with us last night. I don't know whether they're with us today, but a very stand up and take a bow. After 25 years, it's still a lively, creative, stimulating building, but it was designed at Arnold's urging and in accord with the dream to unite people, bring them together, make it not only possible to come together, but you couldn't avoid coming together. Deliberately, organizational structures created, as you mentioned, to empower and enable scholars and to do their work, and policies that were different and more flexible than we'd ever had before. And we had some of those at the beginning, and Ted Brown invented some along the way. But together, they empowered bright people. And 25 years later now, we see the incredible results. I think the point I'd like to make is the Beckman Institute lifted, energized the entire Urbana-Champaign campus. It has served and it continues to serve as a magnet to recruit and retain talented people. I can't tell you how many times I've encountered a faculty member or a graduate student who explained to me that after asking him or her, why are they at the University of Illinois, one pivotal reason was the Beckman Institute. But beyond that, the Beckman gift marked a new era at the University of Illinois. It was sited on an old baseball field. And as a result, it began to unite the campus on an axis, north-south axis, that now connects not just the Beckman Institute, and incidentally, the electrical engineering building that we are going to celebrate today was actually cited at that time when the Beckman Institute was cited. But the axis now connects the North and the South campus, really running through the Granger Engineering Library, the Illini Union, the Follinger Auditorium, and all the way to the Stock Pavilion on the far end. So both symbolically and functionally, the Beckman Institute helped us bring the campus together. And it changed our psyche, which was very much needed at the time. At the time, the $40 million gift, augmented by the $10 million support from the state, Mort will tell you more about that, attracted attention from coast to coast, particularly from our AAU colleagues from other major research universities across the country, and especially our dear colleagues at Caltech, who thought this check was actually misdirected in the mail somehow, and the wrong zip code was included or something. But it changed the way we thought about ourselves, and it changed the way others thought about us, and we stood taller. And by the way, went on to conclude the first billion-dollar campaign in our history. And incidentally, you're right, Phyllis, it was, at the time, the largest gift ever given, not only in any public university, but it was among the largest gifts ever given to any university in the country at that time, public or private. So what's to be learned? More than anything, the founding of the Beckman Institute, I think, teaches us the importance of talented, dedicated people. Mort Weir, Ted Brown, Carl Hess, Bill Greeno, and so many others. Nights, weekends, draft after draft, they crafted an innovative, imaginative, powerful vision. And without that, what we celebrate today would never have been possible. The success of the Beckman also teaches us the importance of continuity of leadership. And a very special thank you is due Ted Brown. By agreeing to serve as the Institute's first director, Ted provided the continuity of this vision that went from a vision, in fact, to a practical reality. We pleaded, but it was at Dr. Beckman's direct urging, along with Ted's loyalty, that turned the trick. And of course, all of this would have been for naught in the absence of a quite remarkable man, Arnold O. Beckman, who was the most visionary, selfless, engaged, demanding philanthropist I've ever met. He was 80 years old when we first met, and I was just slightly better than half his age at the time, and yet he ran my wheels off on his periodic visits. He'd grown up in a very small town, Cullom, Illinois, and the son of a blacksmith. He attended lab school at Bloomington Normal, and on Saturdays he traveled to Urbana-Champaign with his high school teacher, and both of them sat side by side, and they studied chemistry at the University of Illinois. He completed his baccalaureate and master's degrees here and ventured on west to Caltech for his PhD, where he never really left Caltech. He served for years as a quite productive faculty member, and then for quite a number of years as chairman of the Board of Trustees. But he was simply a remarkable, brilliant, scientific and corporate genius, and yet he was in every way a humble and selfless human being. However, as others will confirm, you can't understand Arnold without grasping the role of Mabel, his wife and soulmate. Arnold relied on Mabel's advice, valued her judgment, And eventually I would begin to understand that. When I visited Arnold in his California office, I often looked around and I saw proposals sitting on his desk and credenza carrying the seals of other universities. You know, Stanford and Caltech and Berkeley and Princeton and Harvard. So I sensed very early on that we weren't alone. And so on each trip coming back, when Judy and I visited the Beckmans, we received this incredibly warm reception, and yet each time we departed without closure and a firm yes. And I remember one day we had had a lovely lunch at the Pacific Club that Arnold enjoyed very much, and we'd returned back to the offices, and Judy and Mabel and I were standing in the parking lot while Arnold went to park the car. And in the warm California sun, or maybe it was jet lag, I'm not sure, but I must have looked kind of bedraggled and dejected or whatever. And Mabel moved just ever so subtly closer to my side. And she put her arm around my shoulder and she said, "Stan, don't worry. I've read every single one of those proposals. Illinois is best." Bingo, no more jet lag. My fondest memories of Arnold are of him sitting at the piano, and we saw a photo of that last evening that returned all of those memories. But sitting at the piano in the Beckman Institute atrium, at a faculty gathering, in the president's house he played, every place Arnold went that he found a piano, he was likely to sit down and play. And when he played, he didn't play like this, he played like this. He looked up and out to the left and played by ear, sometimes with his eyes closed, as he did when he was a young kid in Bloomington, playing for the silent movies that were running at that time. He was simply a remarkable man. I think if he were here today, and I'm sure he is in spirit, he'd be remarkably proud of what's been accomplished over the last 25 years, and I think he would be incredibly optimistic about the time that lies ahead. Thank you.